year. MCL.
Ooh, wow, out.
And it's officially
My son just
hate week.
traded for him in fantasy.
Oh, that's painful.
Sorry, Corey.
What's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
Jay.
What's up, guys?
What
How you
up,
guys
man?
doing? What's up, man? I'm glad to be back with you guys.
Hey, it's good to have you back. It is the week, and we know what that means. I'm going to start with something that Maurice Clarett said on the show 2 weeks ago, and he backed it up again last week. He said that he's not using this as the predictor of the game, but he said Ohio State doesn't have the same nasty as Michigan. And that was evident on the field last year. Michigan just took it to Ohio State. They got physical, and Ohio State wasn't ready. He says Ohio State's got the cute guys that are all world and five-star, but he said Michigan has the grit and the nasty. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, this team this year has been a little interesting to watch. And when you talk about the toughness of them, yeah, the toughness of the players has not been what you'd want it to be. Michigan was tougher last year. Injuries could be a big reason why they might be tougher in the trenches. The game's going to be one of the trenches, and with an injury now at right guard, and really you have some guys that aren't really tough. And I've heard criticism of C.J. Stroud and his lack of intensity and his lack of just fire on the field. That might be a deciding factor. They are tougher. Ohio State's won a lot of games with their skill and just being over-talented. That's only going to get you so far in this game. You have to be tough and gritty. And this would be a great time for the Buckeyes to show that they're tougher than they have been throughout the entire season, because they're going to need to. This is going to be a 4-quarter battle. And if they show up like they did last year, it could be 2 years that they've lost to the Wolverines in a row. And that's not going to be good on anybody's resume, but that's not good on Ryan Day's resume either. Be the first coach since John Cooper to have that happen. Ugh. It's not good for anybody, but yeah, they're tougher. And I've been questioning the Buckeyes' toughness most of the season.
Yeah, and neither team played particularly well last week. I mean, Michigan barely won also.
Yeah.
But they're both undefeated. There's some fans, I'm not a diehard Ohio State fan, obviously. I love the fact that they're both undefeated. There's a lot of fans that are like, well, I wanted Michigan to lose. I didn't want them to lose. I love that this game, it means everything.
You want them undefeated.
Right, it's great. And, for all the struggles that Ohio State has had at times, if they win this game, they'll probably win the Big Ten championship, and then they go to the playoff. So, I mean, none of the top teams looked very good this past week. None of them.
No.
Tennessee,
they got
TCU needed a last-second field goal to win.
it was crazy.
Let me ask you this: what is the chances of the game of the century was a one-score type game, one of the best games I've ever seen. I watch that game every time it come back on.
42-39.
Yeah. Now, if this was one of those type games where it's a close game, what are the chances that the team that loses, either Ohio State or Michigan, has an opportunity to have an outside chance at getting into the Final Four? Your thoughts?
The chances are pretty high if it were a one-score game, no matter who wins the contest. We have seen a lot of chaos over the past few weeks. We've seen Tennessee. I think Tennessee's lost. You're going to see a lot of schools that are up there. They're going to be losing games, and it's very high. The one thing that might derail one team over the other is really just the weak Big Ten, to where you have to have other things outside of the things you can do on the field help you make the playoff. But no, it's really high. I think before the season, I even said the winner of this game would end up being in the Big Ten championship, but would still be in the playoff. And I still firmly believe that right now. TCU is a good team. They're going to move up no matter who wins this game. People think Georgia's going to win this weekend. But ultimately, it's still really high because these are two really good teams. And you look at the numbers, the defensive numbers for the Wolverines, that's one of the best defenses in the country.
It is
now, granted, they have one of the weaker schedules in the country as well, so you can take that for what it's worth. But they are really showing up every week defensively and not allowing the opposition to have anything successful for them. The numbers are right there for you on the screen, and those are just a great snapshot of what the Michigan defense has done. I'm curious to see how the Buckeyes, and the toughness is going to come up again for me. I'm curious to see how tough they are, because if they show up like they have numerous times this year, lack of toughness, lack of intensity, really only playing really great Buckeye football when you're playing at home, if they show up and they're a little lackadaisical and the fire's not there and they're not acting like it is the game, then it might not be a one-score loss. It could be a double-digit score loss, and it's then it's well, should the Buckeyes be in, or should they be in the Final Four? Because in the biggest game of the year, they didn't show up. Are they truly one of the top 4 teams in the country? These are all things that are TBD, to be determined. But I do think, though, if it's a one-score game, there's a great chance for both teams, the loser of this game, to still be in the playoff.
It's interesting. You say that you'd like to see them step up and be nasty for this Michigan game. I think that's the one thing that's a characteristic that's burned into your DNA. You can't fake toughness. You can't flip a switch and suddenly be tough after you've been soft all year. My big concern coming into this game is that Michigan is able to possess the ball, which we know that they're a run-first offense for sure. They've got a Heisman caliber running back. If they're able to run the ball on the Buckeyes like they were last year, and they keep it out of Ohio State's hands, the one thing that Ohio State has struggled with this year is when they don't get a lot of touches and they're not on the field regularly. If they have 10, 12 play drives and Ohio State comes out and 3 and out, and Michigan does that again, it's really tough sometimes for that Ohio State offense to get into a rhythm. Do you agree with that?
No, you're right. And actually, that long 12-play drive ended up being a 3 and out, and another 10 to 12-play drive, another 3 and out. We've seen that before from Ohio State, and that's happened against no team like the Wolverines. The one luxury the Buckeyes have right now, you mentioned the Heisman caliber candidate running back that the Wolverines have, is he got hurt against Illinois.
He did.
They're already down Donovan Edwards, their backup running back. Blake Corum goes out. That really changed the entire Wolverines offense in the second half of that game against Illinois. The Buckeyes have injury issues as well. Mayan Williams is hurt. Trevion Henderson seems like every time he's on the field, he can get a quarter or two, then he comes out with some leg injury. Now, Dallin Hayden, third string back, is good, but then the Buckeyes also have a right guard who got hurt, and so you're wondering, how does that work out? So you're talking about the Wolverines being able to sustain drives without your Heisman caliber running back, and then this backup, that's going to be questionable to see how J.J. McCarthy does and how he controls the offense. And at the same time, the Buckeyes, they're down a right guard, and they don't find a solution that they trust with right guard. I don't think it might not matter who's in the backfield for the Buckeyes. No right guard. That might derail all the rushing attack the Buckeyes have in this game. And so ultimately, Ryan Day might go to 1st and 10, pass. 2nd and 8, pass. 3rd and 5, pass. Don't get the first down. And then we're seeing the same thing over and over and over. And so that chess match between the O-line being able to sustain drives, the Wolverines, their desire to sustain drives, that's where that nasty and toughness wants to come in. But as you said so well, if you don't have it, if you haven't shown it for a long period of time or throughout most of the season, it's really hard to click that in. Now, if you have a guy like a JT Tuimoloau who's been nasty, Teron Vincent has some nasty, Zach Harrison has some nasty. If somehow that mindset, that nastiness can go from those players to the offensive linemen, we're having a different story. But it's hard to do that the final week of the regular season where you have been hurt, you have injuries, and then also it's Thanksgiving. Like you're dealing with the holiday week. These are youngsters, and we all know they're going to be pulled every which way to try to do things either virtually or, hey, mom's in Columbus, let's go hang out. It's going to be hard for a lot of players to keep that mojo and to keep that morale and keep their mind into it. It shouldn't be, but we're human, and sometimes some outside influences can impact us.
Jay, I don't want to hear any excuses here, okay? First of all, with the Thanksgiving thing, everybody's got it. That's every kid in America, so it's an equal thing. Injuries, I don't want to hear about a single injury on Ohio State. You got 87,000 five-star recruits on this team, okay? Their guard is hurt? Who cares? Throw another five-star recruit in there. If he can't do it, well, what the hell is happening here? I don't want to hear about injuries, nothing.
Well, hang on.
They're playing at home. They got to kick Michigan's ass, and I don't want to hear any excuses. And if they lose, right, they should be fired. Get his ass out of here.
Oh, shut up. Stop that.
Stop.
But no, one thing about injuries, I did want to ask
Fired.
you. You're just go back home.
I'm kidding.
I love that. I love that from you, Bull. I love that a lot.
But no, Jay, do you think Jackson Smith and Jigma could play in this game?
I'm not kidding
laughing
about the injury.
because he's been most of the year, and then all of a sudden it's a physical contest. And the last couple times they see him on the field, he's left due to injury.
Is that if he's coming back for the Michigan game?
As weird as the offensive attack has been for Ohio State, adding a guy into this and having him play when he hasn't played, I think, since the Iowa game, that's one of the trickiest things I would do, and I would say My gut says no. My gut says don't play him. I know I've heard the goal is to play this game. Of course, my goal would be to play this game as well if I were hurt and I've missed most of the season due to injury. Biggest stage, come back, raise your draft stock, all those things. But that's one thing right there. I have been questioning the Buckeyes passing attack. You have a guy who hasn't played in, 5-6 weeks. All of a sudden, go out there and play. What he did last year was great. We haven't seen him do those things this year due to injury. It would be great to see him have a T.O.-like performance. A T.O. was in a Super Bowl, came in hurt. Now, the injury is not the same, but T.O. still played a phenomenal Super Bowl, 05 or 06, when the Eagles were there, and the Eagles had a shot to win, but Andy Reid, time management, clock management, that hurt them there. But I've been very on the outside of that conversation playing him in this game because that's just going to change everything. Where Stroud has been going to Harrison Jr. early, that's going to be going to Njigba early, and then that does ultimately, yes, they're human, that changes everything. That changes a lot of your philosophy, changes your passing game, changes your approach. With times that you might be running the ball, you might be throwing the ball to Njigba. That's one of those slippery slopes that unless he is, he's full go, ready to go, I say no, don't play him.
I want all the weapons I can get.
Yeah, let's go.
And he's a weapon. So
no injury excuses, no nothing. Let's go.
Do you have a gut before we let you go? What's your gut telling you about this one?
So my gut's telling me this is going to be a one-score game, and the people that I can rely on to make big plays in this game, and even if it's a field goal game late, Noah Ruggles has been a big piece of the pie. So he's a guy that if I need a field goal late to win this game, I can rely on Noah Ruggles. An X factor, I know I'm going out a different way. If it's a field position game, the Buckeyes can flip the field with Jesse Mirko, the Aussie. But my gut is it's a one-score game, and you're going to need one of your running backs to do something. I got Mayan Williams. I got Dallin Hayden. You didn't ask me my thoughts about Trayvon Henderson. That could be another 10-minute segment there. But I think one of those two guys are going to be big in this game. Yes, you have a Heisman Trophy candidate in C.J. Stroud, but I have seen a lack of intensity, a lackadaisical attitude from him at times. Yes, he's at home, but also it's going to be a different type of environment. Yes, he's at home, but I don't care. It's win or go home. You already said last year. Stroud said 11-2, losing to the team up north. That's not our standard. That's not my standard. Well, prove it. Show us this year. I need fire from him, and I don't know if that fire is going to be there. I think Buckeyes win a close one, a very close one, and it's due to the injuries. I can rely on Dallin Hayden to do things in the running game. I don't know if I can rely on the third string back from the team up north if Blake Corum or Donovan Edwards cannot go and tote the rock for the Wolverines. So I think the Buckeyes defense will show some things to be a little bit more fearful and put some fear into the eyes and the minds of the Wolverines. J.J. McCarthy, not the biggest fan. He can do some things, but the misdirection will hurt them. But I do think it's a one-score game. I do think the Buckeyes win either a Ruggles field goal, a defensive stop, or a rushing touchdown from either Mayan Williams or Dallin Hayden.
All right, Jay Stevens, thank you very much. We appreciate it. I think most everybody on this panel is probably with you. A close game, but hopefully a Buckeyes victory. We'll find out. Enjoy the game. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your week.
All right now.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Jay.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys have a good one.
Yep.